Okay, next chapter is the buzzards. Looking at the common buzzard of Europe and its cousin, the steppe buzzard, which has occurred in Western Europe in the past as a vagrant and still is a potential one. It's fantastic when you're in southern Israel in the spring or elsewhere in the Middle East when you see these huge numbers of steppe buzzards migrating back north from places like southern Africa all the way up to northern Siberia. A super migrant must make it a potential vagrant further west. And you're looking through the flocks and you see the likes of these fellas here, the dark morphs, which are just amazing. It made me want to zoom in and have a closer look in amongst several rufous steppe buzzards. And of course the adult rufous birds like this one, oh wow, I mean this is an absolute corker. Look at the colour of the tail on that and the underparts, and get one of those, it would be no problem. Unfortunately we don't. We need to focus on a few other key features like the tail pattern, and it's all written out in 2-page spreads in the chapter on the buzzards in the book. So tail patterns are really helpful. Here's an adult tail, and the adults have this dark thick bar subterminally on the tail, and this pattern would be spot on for a steppe buzzard, where the barring is very weak and limited. It's basically mostly plain and orange with the dark adult band. I don't think a common buzzard of Europe would have that kind of a pattern. Here's another steppe buzzard type tail pattern. Again, an adult with the obvious broad dark band, but see how you have a mix of orange and grey, and how the barring fades towards the base. That sort of combination of colour and fading is also good for steppe buzzard. And here's a juvenile steppe buzzard tail. You can tell it's a juvenile. It's got a few more bars, and there's no obvious broad subterminal band here. So aging is very helpful in the process. Here's an adult common buzzard taken by Graham Catley in Lincolnshire. You can tell it's an adult again by the broad subterminal bar here and the clear broad dark trailing edge. Pretty typical common buzzard as you'd encounter in the UK. And here's an adult rufous morph, an easy one, a steppe buzzard. Look at the features here where the barring is very weak. It has this adult pattern here on the orangey tail, lovely orangey underparts, and then particularly I want you to note the white at the base of the primaries. It's whiter than on the European buzzards, which tends to be a little bit more grey washed, but also that on this one there's no barring. P10, 9, 8, 7, P6 is pure white, P5 is just a couple of little bits. That's a really good pattern for a steppe buzzard, but you need a full combination of features. On to juveniles. Here's a juvenile common buzzard, again by Graham Catley. See the juvenile tail, lacking the obvious thicker, broader subterminal band, and again here this sort of double bar. It doesn't have the big broad solid trailing edge. It's a pretty typical juvenile brownish common buzzard as you'd find in the UK. Notice also the kind of spotting, and it's all broken up a little bit here. Now if we think about juvenile steppe buzzard such as this one here, the kind of things you're looking for is more white at the base of the primaries, but especially this underparts pattern. Can't see it very well here, but they have this pattern where they have these heart-shaped or droplet-shaped marks that run right through the underparts. And then the thigh feathering is solidly marked. Let me show you here. This is the kind of markings. This is a juvenile steppe buzzard. And again, pretty white, although faintly barred here. And these lovely little shaped markings that run right through the underparts. So if I kind of use this is actually an adult, as you can see by the tail band and by the dark trailing edge. It's an adult steppe buzzard, but it has a feature that you do see on juveniles. It kind of shows it, so I've cheated and used this photo. Juvenile would have more of this droplet shape through the underparts, but the juveniles have, like here, solid dark thigh feathering. So if I go back to an old British record, this is the Wiltshire specimen, this one here. Let's go back from Wiltshire in about the middle late 19th century. It was shot, and you can see that it's just like these two normal juvenile steppe buzzards. It's rufusy, has a droplet marking all the way through, and I haven't photographed it very well, but the sides of the thigh feathering are solidly dark, and I suspect this is a good young male, juvenile male steppe buzzard. There it is, turned over, a nice rufusy fringing above, and not dissimilar tail pattern. I think they do a curve, but I think we need these kind of features to help identify them. Hope you enjoy the chapter.